And here we are at the top of the hexagram in the line 6. Gate 18, the gate of correction. Line 6 is called Buddhahood. When you get to the 6th line, you get to the top of the house, you get to the roof. And this line, called Buddhahood, these are people who assume that everything is correct, whether it is or not. Think about all those 6th line keynotes that we've looked at over the course of this journey around the wheel. They are perfectionists, role models. They can be aloof, selfish, they can be hypocrites, and they're innocent. Throughout it all, they are innocent. The lifetime learning says the perfected form. For the 18-6, they have to go through their process of the 3rd line correction, the zealot, trying to correct everything, starting with their own parents, and they get kicked and slapped and put in their place, told to shut up, and so they end up holding within themselves all of these criticisms, all of the things that they see, and then they climb up on top of the hill and just want to be left alone. And what they're really looking for is what can possibly be corrected. If you're a collective logical person and you're not contributing, then there's going to be a lot of forces that don't like you. They expect you to contribute. And the only way that you can get away with not contributing is that if the collective decides that that's okay. Take the example of the Indian sadhu. If you look at the sadhu, everything looks very spiritual, and it looks kind of individual here. This person that has disconnected themselves from the world, they've gone off on their own, they're high up there in the hills on their spiritual path. But the collective has to fill the rice bowl from which they eat, and the way that they survive is through the collective taking care of them. Without the permission of the collective, the permission that is inherent in that support, then the sadhu, they're going to have to learn how to live on light and laughter. It's the only way that the 6th line is allowed to step away from contributing is through the collective agreeing that it can be spoiled. The 18-6, it's here to be spoiled. It's here to have someone say, don't worry about that. It's all okay. We'll take care of that. We'll take care of you. Ra said that if you're a man with this line, it means you're going to need a mature woman in your life. Mature women who are usually going to be that much older than you. And you're going to be their toy boy, you could say. They're going to want to spoil you. And if you're a woman, then you're looking for the sugar daddy. You're going to get the older man in your life or a more mature man in your life who thinks you're absolutely wonderful, who spoils the hell out of you. If you're an 18-6 and you don't want to be spoiled, you're never going to enjoy what all this is about. You're going to spend your whole life complaining. In the exaltation, the Buddha state of the eternal child and the energy to find new horizons to avoid stasis. The potential of the perfected form through correction. This perfected form, it comes from the mature force being the protector. So there's nothing to challenge. The whole thing to understand about this line is, the 18th gate is there to challenge authority, the mother, the father. They're there to challenge established authority. It's the Oedipus-Electra complex. But in the 6th line, they don't need to challenge authority because they realize that unless you get the commitment of others, it's not going to work. And why bother? This is another thing about the 6th line that we've learned. If there's nothing of value in it for me, I'm not bothering with it. Thank you very much. The only way they can live out this sort of, I'm not going to bother, is if they have a mother or a father who is spoiling them and telling them that everything's okay. And then they have nothing to challenge. In the detriment, we have the mundane application of the above, the ability to tap public opinion and share methodology, the potential to share the values of correction with others. So this is other side of it, the potential to share the values of correction with others. If you have this in your design, whether you are male or female, then you really do need somebody who is much more mature than you, probably much older than you, as a lover, as your protector. This is really about the child in its relationship to authority. It's very much, in a sense, the young child's way of looking at life. Everything is correct and okay. Yeah. If you ask them why they feel so good, it will tell you, well, grass grows green. Yeah. What else is needed? It's innocence in that. They will share their methodology with you. Just be. Yeah, the sun's shining. What more do you want? They're not interested in the corrective process. What they really want is to be spoiled. This is not work on what has been spoiled. This is, please spoil me. Buy me nice presents. Take me out for dinner. Treat me like a precious child. Run me a bath. Buy me flowers. This is how they get what they want out of everybody, in a way. If you look at the fuel at the other side, it's called getting carried away. It can be very nice, except that then you have to serve them all the time. Remember, this Buddhist state of being spoiled means that instead of having to pay attention to what needs to be challenged all the time, they can look out at the world, see what needs to be corrected and challenged. And in other words, they kind of eliminate the personal by being spoiled and are left with only the collective as a viewpoint. They're very healthy in that way, but they have to be spoiled. If they're not spoiled, then confusion comes in between the personal and the collective, and the basic suffering of the 18th gate, it gets revived again. When you get to that point of being spoiled, then you have a chance to develop your depths. Yeah, that's the irony of our process, is that it takes so much time to prove something, to really understand it, and to get into the whole collective process. It really takes time. The 18.6 is liberated from its moment by moment correction process by being spoiled by authority. So it has time to focus on collective correction. But the ability to crystallize that correction into a solution, this is in the 48th gate. And this is where we're going next. And the perfect grounding for the 18.6 comes from the 17.6, which is called the Bodhisattva. And again, it's about being spoiled. It needs to be spoiled by not having to engage its understanding, but being allowed to process understanding in order to be the force that can say whether the 5th line heretical knowledge is right or not. 6 lines are always standing at the end of the hexagram as the final arbiter of whether anything within that hexagram operates correctly or not. The 17.6 is called perfected following, where the 18.6 is called the perfected form. Mercury is getting ahead of the sun. It moves into gate 48 at 15:54. This is the next splenic gate that the sun is moving into tomorrow morning. This is where we find the well. This is the depths, the holder of all those little corrections that have been made according to our taste. Oh, and the not so little corrections too, of course. The well holds them and uses the depth of understanding that it has gained to bring practical solutions forth. Practical solutions that can take us all safely into the future as we master this crazy thing called life that we're all involved with. Mars moves into gate 53 at 13:36. This is the root center gate of beginnings. The pressure to start something new, with the potential for depression, that comes when there is nothing new to start, or when we've started something incorrectly and we can't get out of it. It's a format gate, so it brings the fuel for new beginnings to our whole experience. So the moon is still in gate 6. It's still bringing a little extra focus to the friction and conflict that can be found in life, but it leads us to the experience of being in the right place at the right time. It leads us to gate 46 in the G center at 1945, where we can begin or continue to love our body or not. We can learn to worship in our own temple, and we can be aware of how our body feels after being through a bit of conflict and friction. We continue our journey then into gate 18. And we all know and love gate 18 now, this gate of correction in the splenic center. The sun has actually left this gate now as the moon comes into it, but we can still carry the potential to correct what we see as wrong. We can challenge those authorities that lead a little nudge to get back on the path that serves the collective, or not. Of course, we could just stay in bed and drink tea and read fantasy novels all day. We've had enough of correcting. Let's take a rest and see what happens. So gate 48 next. That's our next one tomorrow. Gate of the well, gate of depth. Thank you for being with me through this journey through gate 18. I hope it has been of some value to you. And I look forward to continuing this journey as we move forward in the wheel, as the sun continues to make its way through this quarter of duality and heading into the quarter of mutation in 6 transits time. Okay, thank you very much for being here. I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care. Go gently.